So why does Solomon focus on death so much? Why is he talking about death? The reason is that Solomon believes that thinking about dying will prepare you to live. Thinking about dying will prepare you to live today. In other words, there's wisdom in knowing where you're headed and then starting from the end and then working your way backwards from there. There's this quote from the movie Braveheart where William Wallace says this: "Every man dies, not every man really lives." There's this scene in the movie where Wallace, Braveheart, is leading the Scottish army to fight for their freedom, but they're largely outnumbered, and they're terrified of dying. And Braveheart is trying to challenge this army, and he says, "Will you fight?" And then there's one particular soldier who speaks up and says, "No, we will run, and we will live." And that's when Wallace says, "I run, and you will live, at least for a little while." And then he says this: "And then dying in your beds, many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here to this day and tell your enemies that they may take your lives, but they will never take your freedom?" This is what Wallace and Solomon are both agreed on. Fast forward in your life, many days from now, to the time when you will be dying in your beds, and then live today as you would have wished you would live on that day. In light of that, what would you have done? Again, David Gibson is helpful on this. In his book on Ecclesiastes, appropriately titled "Live Life Backward," don't miss the title, he says this: "Left to our own devices, we tend to live life forward. We plan and hope and dream of where we will be. Ecclesiastes teaches us to live life backward, to take the one thing in the future that is certain, our death, and work backward from there, from that point, into all the details and all the decisions and all the heartaches of our lives, and think about them from the perspective of the end." So that's the challenge in movement number one. In light of the one thing in life that's certain, death, Solomon says, live life backwards from there.